Stop. No matter what you're doing right now, stop. What I have to tell you isn't for just anyone passing by. It's for you, the one who feels the quiet weight of a watchfulness no one else seems to notice. Something happened in your home. Something happened in the space where you live and sleep, and you felt a sudden restlessness, a sense that the protection over your household has been put to a test you never asked for, but one you're ready to pass. You felt a breath of disorder, a shift in the atmosphere, and today I came here to name exactly what's trying to slip into your sacred space and, more importantly, to hand back to you the authority that should never have been questioned in the first place. You made it here because your spirit recognized the call. By the end of this time we'll spend together, you'll understand the real nature of the hidden interference that's been trying to create noise around you. You'll identify the signs that show your light is bothering what prefers the dark, and above all, you'll receive the key to your own authority, understanding that for the chosen one, protection isn't something you go looking for, it's something you radiate from your very presence. Stay with me until the end, because every word here is a piece of a larger design that's already moving in your favor. You've been noticing. It's not something you can point a finger at or prove with cold logic, but you've been noticing. There's a wear and tear with no physical cause. You wake up, and it feels like your rest was interrupted by battles you don't even remember fighting through the night. The atmosphere in your home, which used to be your absolute refuge, now seems to carry a density, a weight that turns every simple task into a monumental effort. You feel an exhaustion that sinks into your bones, an exhaustion that sleep doesn't cure. Attention! You need to prepare yourself now. I have prepared material for those who doubt their own calling from God and still do not have confirmation. Are you one of the chosen? We'll give you that clarity. These are the 7 signs of the language of the calling, marks of God in the story of every chosen one, so you can reread your story and recognize the purpose sealed over you before the foundation of the world. Stop calling coincidence what is actually a calling. Stop silencing the sacred restlessness. Stop postponing the answer you feel. Your window is closing, and a chosen one who does not recognize the calling does not walk in purpose. More than 10,000 people have already read the 7 signs and received the conviction they had been seeking for years. They were just like you. They felt something no one understood. They lived in silent doubt, and they discovered it was real. And it had a name. The offer is open only this month. Access the link in the pinned comment now, before doubt steals another year from your calling. And what hurts the most, you've noticed an unexpected distance creeping in. People who should be your anchors, people who should be in tune with your mission, suddenly seem distant, critical, or stuck in cycles of negativity that hit right where you're trying to build. It's not a coincidence. It's not just life happening. It's the price of your calling. Take a deep breath. Feel that air coming in and clearing out what was stagnant. If this description touched something deep inside your chest, if you felt the weight drop from your shoulders hearing that it's not your imagination, this is the moment to mark your position. It's not just a number, it's your seal of readiness. By typing 888, you're declaring that you accept the responsibility of being who you are and that you're ready for the clarity that's coming. 888 is the frequency of order establishing itself over chaos. Do it now, manifest your readiness, and come right back so we can continue, because what's behind these signs is far more revealing than you imagine. Now that you've taken your stand, let's go a layer deeper. What you're facing isn't a random twist of fate. It's not bad luck or a rough patch. What you're living through is a reaction. When a light turns on in a room that's spent a long time in the darkness's first reaction isn't to disappear, it's to stir. The interference you feel, the opposition that seems to come out of nowhere, is nothing more than the undeniable proof that your light is bothering them. Your calling, your integrity, your insistence on staying true to your values, all of it has created a vibration that the shadows can't stand. They plan, they scheme, they try to create noise because they fear what happens when someone like you decides, once and for all, to take your place. You're not being attacked because you're weak. You're being pressured because, in truth, you're a direct threat to everything that needs your inattention to keep existing. And they know it, even if you, in your humility, are still trying to grasp the scale of your own power. You are the chosen one, and the chosen one never goes unnoticed by the invisible world. The exhaustion you feel is the result of holding a high frequency in an environment that's trying at every turn to pull you down. But as you become aware that this is a reaction to your very essence, the fear begins to dissolve, replaced by an unshakable certainty. What you carry is greater than any plan they try to orchestrate against your roof. Your authority is the turning point, and what they call an attack, I call confirmation that you're exactly on the path you're meant to be on. What you're experiencing is the pressure that comes before expansion. You're not being broken, you're being tested so your foundation can be proven solid. And your foundation, I assure you, is made of rock they cannot crack. Picture your life now as an ancient stone house perched on the summit of a mountain where the wind blows without end. For a long time you felt that cold air battering the windows, felt the invisible currents trying to find a crack, a gap, a place where they could slip in and disturb your family's peace. You tried to seal the doors with your own effort, using your anxiety as mortar, trying to hold the structure together by sheer force of will. But the metaphor you need to embrace today is this: the stone house doesn't strain to be strong. It doesn't have to ask the wind for permission to stand still. The stone foundation, the one that was laid deep in the earth before you were even born, it simply is. It doesn't fight the cold. It just occupies the space that belongs to it. The currents of cold air from the outside world, those plans, those schemes, those energies of disorder trying to infiltrate your family life, they can't penetrate living rock. They can circle the structure, they can howl at the window frames, but they have no access to what's anchored in truth. What you've lived through until now, that constant sense of vigilance, that worry that something might collapse, wasn't a sign of fragility. It was your own spirit recognizing that the house needed a new awareness. You're no longer trying to build the house, you're inhabiting the house that was already built. Every time you feel the weight of that protection, remember the rock. The rock doesn't tremble when the wind picks up. It only becomes denser, more present, more absolute. If something inside you just clicked into place with that image, if the understanding that your authority is intrinsic and not something you have to fight for landed in a deep part of your soul, I need you to mark this moment. It's not just a phrase. It's your decree of watchfulness. It's your way of telling the invisible world that the sentinel is at his post, that the house is occupied, and that the foundation is firm. By typing "I am here," you're solidifying that presence, turning your perception of vulnerability into a declaration of ownership. Type it now, calmly and with conviction, and then come back to pick up the thread of our conversation. Many of us spent years believing that protecting our family depended on constant battle, daily wear and tear, trying to anticipate every move of the adversary. But what I'm revealing to you now is the reframe of action. The real neutralization of fear doesn't come from confrontation, but from abiding in truth. When you understand that the light you carry is by itself an impassable barrier, the need to fight disappears. You no longer have to spend your energy trying to drive out the dark, because the dark has no substance in front of someone who lives in clarity. You simply position yourself in truth, the way the rock positions itself on the ground. The truth is, your peace isn't something that can be stolen unless you consent to believe that fear is more real than your protection. When you stop fighting and start just remaining, the dynamic shifts entirely. What once seemed like an external attack becomes nothing but background noise that finds no resonance in your structure. Fear is a suggestion, and you have the absolute power to decline that suggestion. If at this moment something in your frequency has shifted, if you felt a relief in realizing you don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders, let your like be your wordless amen. Not as a counter of numbers, not as something to be seen by others, but as a gesture of agreement, a silent seal between what was revealed here and your soul. Each touch is an acknowledgement that the truth has been heard. Now, so that this clarity doesn't get lost in the noise of your daily life, I want to offer you a simple practice, something you can do every morning. Let's call it the morning seal. When you wake up, before you even touch your phone or let any outside worry invade your mental space, sit for just 2 minutes. Close your eyes and visualize your home, your family, your space, wrapped not in a barrier of defense, but in the natural light of someone who has already won the battle. Don't ask for protection as if you were at a disadvantage. Affirm the protection that already exists. Say internally, I occupy my place. I inhabit the house that was given to me. What belongs to this house stays in this house. What does not belong to this light has nothing to hold on to here. It's an alignment of consciousness, a way of shielding your family space through your own intention. You're not creating a barrier from scratch. You're just recognizing that the barrier already exists and that your attention is the key that keeps it active. It's simple, it's direct, and it's deeply effective. When you do this, you stop reacting to the events of the day as someone under attack and start living as someone who governs their own environment. Your family feels that shift. The atmosphere of your home responds to that alignment. They don't need to know what you're doing, but they'll feel that the wind outside may blow, but the temperature inside remains constant, peaceful, and unshakable. That's your authority in action. That's your calling made manifest in everyday life. What you're learning today is to stop being the caretaker of a house that was always afraid of being broken into, and to become the master of a dwelling that knows who it is. There's someone in your inner circle who needs these words right now. Think of the person you know who has been carrying the weight of an entire family on their back, someone who works tirelessly, takes care of every detail, and yet lives with a quiet restlessness no one else notices. That person, who often seems strong in the face of storms, is facing a spiritual exhaustion that finds no relief in sleep or ordinary rest. That person's face just came to your mind, didn't it? You saw them while I was talking about the authority to govern your own environment. Send this to them. Don't do it like you're recommending common advice or some casual read. Do it like someone handing over a necessary key. You were the vehicle for this clarity to reach them at this precise moment. It's an act of care, a form of ministry that recognizes that behind the facade of strength there is a chosen one who needs to be reminded that the battle is not fought with hands, but with the posture of the soul. Before we move on to the closing of this transmission, I want you to take a deep breath. Feel the weight and the importance of the truth that now resides in you. It's not a fleeting hope. It's not a theory or an abstract concept that will fade with the passing hours. It's a fact about who you are and about the place you occupy. To seal this authority that you've just recognized, I want you to type the phrase, "I am the chosen one." Don't type it as a request or as a wish for things to change. Type it as a confirmation that the revelation has been received and that your spirit is in full agreement with your new position of governance. Write those words slowly, feeling the weight and validity of each letter, allowing your fingers to do what your inner self has already declared to be your truth. Type it now, and right after, come back to me. You are the guardian who has been awakened to your true function. You are the pillar that holds up the environment of your home with the strength of a knowledge that doesn't come from this world. You are the chosen one, meant to keep the flame alive when everything around you suggests the cooling of relationships or the scattering of peace. You are, above all, the living testimony that even in times of uncertainty, there is a rock that does not move and a truth that remains sovereign. You are committed, you are commissioned, you are sent. You are committed to the peace that surpasses all human understanding, becoming the point of balance for your entire lineage. You are commissioned to exercise the authority that was given to you in silence, without needing external approval to validate your spiritual dominion. You are sent to inhabit your own home with the full awareness that what you bring inside is what will define the atmosphere for everyone who lives there. You felt the temperature shift in the room, didn't you? It's not a physical change. It's not the wind coming through the window. It's something denser, a pressure settling into the corners of the room, almost as if the air itself were being prepared for a revelation. You've noticed that when you try to find silence, to hear your own intuition, a cacophony of outside noise, other people's problems and trivial demands seems to crash down on you with disproportionate force. That's not random. It's not just life happening. It's the clear sign that what you carry, the light you sustain, is starting to bother what once lived in the shadows of your family space. When you feel drained without having done any physical effort, when you notice that people who should be sources of support seem, without explanation, to create friction or pick fights over the smallest things, understand that you are being tested, not by your weakness, but by your authority. There is an attempt to keep you busy with the urgent so that you have no time to look at what is eternal. It's a plan that operates through distraction. It wants you to believe your family is falling apart, that harmony is slipping away, when in truth it's just the clearing of a ground being prepared for a much more solid foundation. If you stop to read these words, if that feeling that someone is talking directly about your backyard, about your dinner table, about the safety of your sleep made your stomach tighten, know that the perception is not a mistake. It's a confirmation. Typing 888 is your way of saying that you accept the watch, that you recognize the call, and that you place yourself in a position of readiness. It's the small movement that signals to the universe that your house is no longer a territory for invasion, but a sanctuary. Type 888, and after marking that turning point, come right back to where we are, because the revelation doesn't stop here. What you face today, this resistance, is the echo of something you've already overcome in spirit, but that hasn't yet fully manifested in the physical. The diagnosis is simple, but rarely spoken. You have become such an intense point of light that the darkness around you can no longer pretend you don't exist. They don't attack someone who doesn't threaten the structure of chaos. They attack precisely the chosen one who, by rising up, begins to put their own house in order. What they plan, what they try to orchestrate through intrigue, through cooling of relationships, or through misunderstandings, is just a delayed reaction to your advance. They are reacting to your command, not the other way around. Picture your home now as an ancient stone construction, deep with foundations that go all the way down to the water table of truth. The currents of cold air, those energies of disorder blowing outside, try to find a crack, an open window, an unlocked door. They blow hard, they make noise, they stir up dust, they create an illusion of instability. But inside, the structure is firm. You are the watchman of that building. When you understand that the stone is unshakable, fear loses its fuel. Fear only lives where there is a belief that the house is made of paper. But you know deep in your soul that the foundation is real. It's not a request. It's not a doubt. It's the affirmation of your presence. It's your body, your mind, and your spirit declaring that the guardian has not abandoned the post. Type "I am here" and feel how those words written by your finger confirm your place in the watch. And then, without losing the rhythm, come back to me. The neutralization of any plan against your home doesn't happen through direct combat, but through abiding. You don't have to fight the wind. You just have to close the window. The reframe here is essential. Stop fighting the people who were used to create the noise. They are just the instrument of the wind. Focus on your frequency. Focus on your peace. Focus on the authority of someone who knows who the house belongs to. When you pull your emotional focus away from the attempts at interference, you pull away the power they had to destabilize you. You become the thermostat of the house. Wherever you walk in, the temperature of peace must settle, not the other way around. If, as you read these lines, your consciousness felt the weight of authority being returned to your chest, if you felt that your role is far greater than the small quarrels of daily life, let your like be your wordless amen. Not as a counter of numbers, but as a silent seal, a confirmation that what was said here now is the truth your heart needed to recognize in order to settle down. It's your gesture of saying that from today on, your house will be governed by your light, and not by the shadows that tried to slip in. There is a practice we call the morning seal, a 1-minute exercise that changes the destiny of an entire day. Before you get out of bed, before you hear any news, before you let any outside voice enter your field, you simply declare into the silence of your room, "My home is a sanctuary." Imagine you are sealing the entrances, covering the foundation with the intention of peace. It's an alignment of consciousness. You don't need complex rituals or external materials. You only need your sovereign intention, your word that creates and sustains. When you set the tone for your house in that first minute, you're not just waiting for the day to happen. You're dictating the laws that will govern your territory. It's an invisible shielding, but it's the most resistant of all, because it springs from the source of your own internal authority. You may have noticed that throughout this time a specific face appeared in your mind as we talked about the weight of carrying a family. Someone you know, someone who has been trying to keep a smile while the ground seems to give way, someone who works silently, exhausted, without anyone noticing the magnitude of what they carry. That person needs this clarity. They need to hear that they are not failing, just being tested. Send this to them, not as advice, but as a delivery. Maybe they just need to know that someone saw their effort, that someone understands that what they're going through is not a failure. It's a forging process. Your sending it is the key for them to also be able to close the window and protect their house. Before we reach the closing of this moment, we've set aside, type "I am the chosen one" in the comments below. Type it slowly. Feel each letter. It's not a title of pride. It's a title of responsibility. It's the confirmation that you have accepted the charge, that you have understood your mission, and that you will no longer let yourself be carried away by plans that were not designed for your good or for the good of those you protect. You are the chosen one, meant to keep the flame alive. You are the rock, and from the moment these words become your identity, the game changes completely. What was a threat becomes a testimony to your strength. What was an obstacle becomes the step to your next elevation. You are ready because you were prepared for this long before you understood what was happening. You are committed, you are commissioned, you are sent. The weight you felt was not a sentence, it was the sign that you were summoned to be the guardian of your own territory. What they tried to sow as confusion on your table has been undone by the clarity that now inhabits your spirit. You are no longer the target dodging blows, you are the authority taking your stand. From this second on, your house knows no more disorder, because your word, anchored in the truth we recognize today, is the law that establishes peace. At this very moment, scattered across every corner of the world, there are others who have also been brought to this same recognition. People who, like you, felt the call to awaken and protect what is most sacred to them. You are part of a silent movement, a legion that needs no announcements or spotlights, because the force you carry is the force of light itself. What you are living now is not an isolated event. It is a global alignment of purposes. You are keeping the flame alive, and this union, though invisible to the eyes of the world, is what holds up the structure of hope on this earth. Feel the silence that settles in now, a silence that is not empty, but filled with authority. What needed to be said has been delivered. What needed to be seen has been revealed. What needed to be sealed is now fixed in the deepest place of your being. Breathe deeply, drop your shoulders, and understand that from now on you walk not as someone who defends, but as someone who governs their own destiny, with the certainty of one who knows their origin and their final destination. The door that seemed closed is no longer in your path, because you yourself have become the key that opens it. It is sealed. Attention! You need to prepare yourself now. I have prepared material for those who doubt their own calling from God and still do not have confirmation. Are you one of the chosen? We'll give you that clarity. These are the 7 signs of the language of the calling, marks of God in the story of every chosen one, so you can reread your story and recognize the purpose sealed over you before the foundation of the world. Stop calling coincidence what is actually a calling. Stop silencing the sacred restlessness. Stop postponing the answer you feel. Your window is closing, and a chosen one who does not recognize the calling does not walk in purpose. More than 10,000 people have already read the 7 signs and received the conviction they had been seeking for years. They were just like you. They felt something no one understood. They lived in silent doubt, and they discovered it was real. And it had a name. The offer is open only this month. Access the link in the pinned comment now before doubt steals another year from your calling.